This is the MHS Pawdcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High School.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of 2018 of the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High School. I'm Eddie Kalegi.
And I'm Josh Hyman.
This will be an exciting one. The end of the holiday break, the beginning of January, back to school, but we're almost halfway done with the school year, Josh.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It feels like yesterday when I first walked into freshman year.
So there's lots to get to on our first broadcast here of 2018. First, we'll be joined by Coach Holleran. He's the coach of the Metuchen High School track team. He'll discuss why the sport is so deep in his heart, along with his impressions on the team's recent performance. Then, Josh and I will be looking into 8 unique ways to relieve and reduce stress collected from multiple online sources. And finally, our sports contributor Dylan Manfre returns once again to talk about the busy last couple weeks in Metuchen High sports, along with all the excitement coming up in the next coming weeks. But before all that, Josh has got some school announcements.
First things first, we hope all of the listeners out there had a wonderful holiday break. It might be hard to believe, but it's true. The end of the cycle is in 2 weeks, Wednesday, January 24th. This will also mark the end of the first semester for upperclassmen, a halfway point in the 2017-2018 school year. 3 days after that, on Saturday night, January 27th, is when the MHS Student Council Snowball was rescheduled for. That's Saturday, January 27th at 7 p.m. If you're bringing a guest from outside MHS, make sure to bring in the guest forms by Friday. See Ms. Blaze for details. And finally, the MHS Pawdcast will be back on the audio waves Saturday afternoon for our second ever basketball broadcast and our first boys game. It'll be the Metuchen Bulldogs taking on Hopewell Valley Regional High School. Tip-off is slated for 1 p.m. Be sure to listen on our Audio Sports online page. A link to that is in the description. That's all I've got, Eddie.
Thanks a lot, Josh. Welcome back to the Metuchen High School Podcast. I'm Eddie Kalegi.
And I'm Josh Hyman.
The winter track season is underway, so far marked by standout performances at meets in New York and this past Saturday at the Toms River Bubble. What better way to hear more about the team than from the man at the helm himself, Coach Holleran. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so before we get into the team, let's first talk a little about you. What was it that drew you towards this sport more than any other?
Well, first let's talk about you. I'm extremely impressed by what you guys do.
Thank you very much.
And I'm really surprised to see how engaged you guys are with this. It's a great thing.
Thank you.
Good luck with it. It sounds great.
Thanks a lot.
But now we'll get to the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was what again? I'm sorry.
Well, I asked you, let's talk a little about, you. What was it that drew you towards the sport more than any other?
Oh, okay. Actually, I started doing this when I was in grammar school. For you guys, that's I guess middle.
Middle school.
Middle school. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I ran track for. I went to a Catholic grammar school and I ran track there, and I kind of got hooked on the sport. I started out as a sprinter, and then I went to high school and I wanted to be a runner. I didn't really know what cross country was, and I went to one of the gym teachers and I asked, how do you sign up for track? And they said, go to see this man over here. And it was cross country, and I just went out and did it, and I enjoyed it, and I loved running. So it was just something new to me, but it was something I really got caught up in right away.
All right, so what's the best part about getting to coach track here at the high school?
There are great kids here at Metuchen, and I've been here for 35 years, and I could definitely say that I've been around some outstanding young men, and not just in terms of talent, but in terms of character and who they are. And usually once the kids get involved in the program, they kind of they absorb being a track kid, and I do think it takes a lot to be a track kid. For the most part, most of these kids are year round. They start in the beginning of the year and they go all the way to June, and that's a tough thing for a high school kid to do. We've had some great kids, great families, and it's a great town. So when you get all that mixed together, you usually get a lot of success.
Well, you've taught biology here at the high school for 35 years. Is there anything students can learn from bio that can be applied to track in any way?
Well, Eddie, you being one of my top students would know this, and Josh as well. I think there are some things that you can learn in terms of physiology, in terms of how the body operates, and running is a stressful thing. So it brings you into different environments, anaerobic environments, aerobic environments, and training is built upon those things. And so a lot of times as you become a better runner, you kind of figure out what that's all about. And sprinters are anaerobic, and distance runners try to be as aerobic as possible. And you do learn that when you learn about photosynthesis and respiration and the Krebs cycle and all those things. So it is something you can if you're paying attention, you can definitely gain from. Yes.
All right, so let's focus on the here and now. What are your impressions of the winter track team's recent performance, strengths, and their strengths and weaknesses?
Right now, we're off to a pretty good start. Lucky for us, we have some seasoned athletes, kids who are juniors and seniors now, who are pretty successful. And honestly, we've been successful through the years, but this is kind of a unique situation in which we have a lot of pretty good kids going from the sprints with Avi Appel and Sean Watson, and then our distance and middle distance kids with Kalen Johnson, Jake Beecher, Divish Gupta, Stephen Tang. Those kids have been involved in the program now for 4 years. And usually when you stick with the program and you're that dedicated to it and you have some talent, you usually get some success. And so right now, that's what we have.
Well, we mentioned you just had the meet in Toms River this weekend. What are some of the key upcoming events for the track team?
Probably every single weekend from now until March, we have a big meet. And usually that's our program. It's a big meet team. We tend not to dwell too much on the dual meets and the small stuff. But that's more developmental. It's more for freshmen. Like Josh knows, he went to a meet last night where he competed down at Howell High School for the shot put. But in terms of the larger scope, we're really a big team, a big meet team, and that's what we're looking for. Every weekend we've got the counties, we've got the state relays, state individuals, and that's what these guys are shooting for. Individual goals as well as team.
All right, well, that's all the time we've got. Coach Holleran, thanks for joining us here on the Metuchen High School podcast.
Well, I appreciate it, Eddie, and one day I'm going to get you on the team as well. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Great job.
Thank you. All right, so when we come back, we'll be looking at 8 unique ways to relieve stress, and we'll also be joined by sports contributor Dylan Manfre. I'm Eddie Kalegi.
And I'm Josh Hyman.
And this is the Metuchen High School podcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High. Welcome back to the Metuchen High School podcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High School. I'm Eddie Kalegi.
And I'm Josh Hyman.
Stress, probably the most common thing among all high school students. After the school day ends, you have your school sports and your after-school activities. Then you have to choke down some dinner, possibly go to even more activities at night before returning home to anxiously finish your homework. And when you finally want to go to bed and think you're done, you realize you still have to send your Snapchat streaks. Teenage life in a nutshell, Josh.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's always those suggestions to just take a deep breath and eat healthy to relieve stress, but we're going to focus in on some other stranger tactics towards beating stress, some that are more high school related that kids can do right here at the high school. Courtesy of HealthyHelperBlog.com and GoodMenProject.com comes 8 strange and unique ways to relieve stress. So first is an interesting one, and when I first saw this, I didn't know what to expect, because it said getting upside down, but as it says, reading it, doing a handstand or a headstand, inverting or using an inversion table if doing it on your own seems too daunting. This one actually has more science behind it. Inversions take some pressure off of your spine, help regulate the pituitary and pineal glands, and help trigger the relaxation response of the parasympathetic nervous system. But besides that, it just helps quiet the mind down and give you a new perspective. I mean, I've heard of yoga doing things, but I never really thought of, going upside down. But, I mean, the science actually makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like you said about yoga, I mean, I know that relieves stress, but I didn't know just the specific action of, doing a handstand or something like that actually helps you feel better. And there's actually studies behind it. That's pretty interesting, actually.
Very interesting. As is the next one. I mean, this is more obvious. The second one is phone a friend. As it says, no, this isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but reaching out when you're stressed can be just as helpful as on the show. Who doesn't like to vent? Sometimes relieving stress is as easy as finding a listening ear. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Having someone being able to talk out your problems.
Yeah, it really does, because, everyone wants to just get their feelings out in some way, and sometimes if your friend's there to listen and understand, it might make you feel better if they're there to help you and listen to you.
So that one's something that popped into my mind. This one didn't. Eating a banana. And while they're the sweetest end of the fruit spectrum and avoided by many because of this, bananas are a great mood booster. Science tells us that bananas boost our mood because of their powerhouse combination of vitamins B6, A, and C, fiber, tryptophan, potassium, phosphorus, iron, and protein, and healthy carbohydrates. I never thought of bananas that good in terms of stress relief.
Yeah, I thought they were just good for, potassium and fiber. I didn't know they actually helped your mind get calm.
Another type of food in this is the fourth thing, and that is snacking on something crunchy. Munching on foods like apples, carrots, and almonds relieve physical tension from your jaw and face. The added effort it takes to make your way through a crunchy snack distracts you from intrusive thoughts. In addition, the rhythmic chewing and sound that is created can sort of lull you into a state of calm. I mean, I've seen kids stress eating chips. Of course, they didn't mention that, but crunchy foods as well. So you've got bananas and crunchy foods that can help you through stress.
So now you can tell your mom that you have an excuse for stress eating, because it does actually help you reduce stress.
Fifth thing, cuddle a furry friend. You can't help but smile when you're around a pet. They are so carefree and cheerful that you automatically start to take on their disposition. Their unconditional love is reassuring and reminds you that no matter what, you matter and have value for just being you. Don't have a pet? No problem. Local animal shelters are always looking for volunteers. Alternatively, I'm sure your busy neighbor or friend wouldn't mind a little extra help with their pooch. Offer to dog walk or pet sit. You could also just take a drive to your local pet store. There are sure to be some cute creatures on display. Now, the one thing that kind of puzzled me about this one. So you just go up to your neighbor and just show up, hey, Mr. Johnson, I have a science test tomorrow. Can I cuddle with your dog? I mean,
Yeah, that would be a bit weird. I mean, if you don't have a dog or a pet, there are plenty of other ways to reduce stress. You don't have to just knock on your neighbor's door and make them feel uncomfortable about that. Well, but yeah, having a pet definitely does reduce some stress, because, I have a dog and I like to rant. I like to rant to her whenever I feel a bit mad or stressed out.
I mean, that's also kind of connects to one of the other things, because if it has a listening ear, it's going to listen to you, and it's not going to respond, so maybe in a way that's
dogs don't judge you, dogs don't care, they'll still love you even if you're mad or have problems.
Sixth one, something I never heard of, practice aromatherapy. Light a candle, bake cookies, or open up your favorite spice jar. Scents have a way of reminding us of certain memories and bringing a sense of calm over our brainwaves. In fact, our sense of smell bypasses our cognitive brain functions, meaning it has the power to distract the parts of us that are subject to worry. I never knew that candles can act as a stress relief.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, true, but it kind of makes sense once you think about it. You have this really nice smelling candle that's in the room taking up all your smell. And all you can think about is, hey, this is a really nice smelling candle. You don't really think about your exams tomorrow.
That's true. Next thing is another type of therapy, color therapy. Have you ever heard of colorology? Well, it's the theory that color and light can be used to balance energy wherever a person's body is lacking, whether it's mental or emotional, physical, or spiritual. If you are feeling overly stressed, you can use color as a stress management tool. Different colors have different effects in the brain, so envisioning certain shades or even carrying a little patch of a certain color with you throughout the day can make you feel better and more in control. For example, painting one of your fingernails a color that calms you can remind you to relax and take a deep breath whenever you catch a glimpse of it during the day. Now, something that just puzzles me in some ways, because the other ones are more realistic. I can't see anyone who's just gonna cut out a little neon green patch and just carry it around, show it off, and hey, it's gonna help me with my bio test tomorrow.
The science behind it makes sense, because colors have been known to invoke certain feelings, like red and yellow it really gets hunger going. That's why a lot of fast food restaurants have it. But yeah, the way they tell you to apply it is kind of strange. Just paint one of your fingernails, or carry around a patch of color or whatever. It makes sense, but just the way the article says it is a bit unusual.
The last thing, dance it out. Listening to your favorite song can automatically enhance your mood. Add a little unplanned spastic movement to that and you're golden. Taking a short break from work to just move your body can refresh your mind, refocus you, and inadvertently sneak in a little exercise, which we all know is one of those traditional stress relievers. So obviously dancing can definitely help. Music can definitely put someone in a good mood.
Yeah, but this is one of the things where, like, you can't just do a 20-minute study time and then dance for an hour and a half, you know. It has to be a bit within reason, you know, in moderation. Not like these other things where you can kind of just, you know, stop and, like, talk to your friend. You can do that all the time, but you can't really just start dancing whenever. Like, there are a lot of situations where you can't just dance it out. But, you know, it can help if you're, you know, studying for a really long period of time and you just need to move.
Well, we'll have these tips posted on Twitter. Hopefully they help you. Maybe you'll even apply one or two to your own life. Next, I'll be joined by Dylan Manfre here on the MHS Pawdcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High.
Insurance. It's a commodity. It shouldn't be an impulse buy. Purchasing the right insurance takes time, and it must be fitted for your goals and your lifestyle. Farmers Insurance likes to do it right. They invite you to sit back, have some coffee, and relax. They listen to your needs, desires, and dreams and shape an insurance policy just for you. An old-fashioned take on insurance? Possibly, but it's been working for agents and clients alike for years. Visit your local agent, Ed Van Eckert, today at 54 Pearl Street right here in Metuchen, or call 732-548-4444 for a free quote. Ed's number one concern is Metuchen. Once again, that's 732-548-4444 or at 54 Pearl Street in Metuchen. Farmers, making the Brainy Borough smarter about insurance.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Having trouble seeing the board in class? Do you need safety glasses for your school sport? If you answered yes to either of these questions, head over to Optique Unique, the eyeglass store at 406 Main Street in Metuchen. Optique Unique does it all. Not only do they offer eyewear for all ages, they also sell sports-specific safety glasses for kids and adults. Call them at 732-321-2020. That's 732-321-2020, or visit OptiqueUnique.com. Do you want to build character, build confidence, or even build yourself? All that and more can be accomplished at the Black Belt Institute at 23 New Street, right here in Metuchen. Students of all ages have been able to learn respect, discipline, fitness, and self-defense from their experienced instructors for over 20 years. Whether you're an adult looking for stress reduction or know someone young who has interest in Taekwondo, the Black Belt Institute is the place to go. The Institute takes a fun approach at teaching the rules of self-defense, instilling in their students an I-can-do-it attitude. Interested in taking a class? Call them at 732-205-9797 or visit their website at blackbeltinst.com. Once again, that's 732-205-9797 or blackbeltinst.com. The Black Belt Institute, Metuchen's leader in martial arts and fitness.
Let's give a thank you to some of our sponsors. Thank you to What's the Scoop, Reflections on Main, the Main Street Barbershop, and the Metuchen Savings Bank. None of this would be possible without the help of these businesses.
Ah yes, the winter sports season is upon us, and MHS athletic accolades and achievements are piling up early in the winter season. To join us in what has been occurring and what is to come in the world of Metuchen High sports, it's great to be joined once again by Dylan Manfre. Dylan, thanks for coming on.
No problem, Eddie. Thanks for having me, as always. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. Well, Coach Holleran was on the show early today, so it's only fitting that we start with track. A big meet back on Saturday. What were some of the standout performances? What has impressed you the most about Coach Holleran's winter squad as a team, Dylan?
Well, GMC Relays is really the unofficial start to championship season, and championship season being, GMC championships, sectional championships, and, all the championship meets after it. And also there's going to be some meets in between, like the Mom and the Showcase that they're going to be running at Ocean Breeze Invitational that they'll probably run at this year. But on Saturday, the meet at Toms River, the Bennett Center, Toms River Bubble, also known as GMC Relay. Sophie Rubin for the girls recorded a new MHS record in the pole vault, smashing the old record by 2 feet to bring the new distance up to 9'6". I know Sophie wanted that record for a long time, had her eye on it ever since she started pole vaulting, and to see her get it is a big accomplishment, so congrats to her.
And that is amazing, too. 9 foot pole
I
vault.
can't even imagine, pole vaulting, even period. In the meet, the girls placed 12th overall. The boys placed 4th. overall, but they won out of every small school. In the DMR for the boys, the DMR consists of the 1200, 400, 800, and 1600, and they were named GMC championships with a time of 10:58, and that relay team consisted of Avi Hogan-Appel, Jacob Beecher, Divij Gupta, and Cale Johnson. In the boys 4x8s, which consisted of Beecher, Divij, Gupta, Eddie Maleg, and Stephen Tang. They got 5th place with the time at 8:44. Eddie Maleg, big addition to the 4x8 in recent years and has been one of the up-and-coming distance runners on this team. In the girls ran a 4x4. The boys unusually did, I don't believe they ran a 4x4 this year, which is unusual if they didn't. The girls ran a 4x4 and got 6th place with a time of 4:26. The girls also placed 6th in the 4x8 with a time of 10:35. And their best place time, and get this, they got 4th in the DMR with a time of 13:31, which was 9 seconds below their seed time of 13:40.
Very impressive.
Very impressive indeed. So a lot of upside on the track and a lot more big things to come from this team.
All right, so let's take a move from the track to the court. It's been a tough first couple weeks for the boys and girls basketball teams. Let's first focus on the girls. I mean, it's clear they're missing sophomore Bryn Farrell right now, but which players have stepped up the most in her absence, and what must the team do to improve on this slow stretch?
Yeah, it's definitely clear that this team is widely different without Bryn Farrell on the court. She provides so much to this team, and who's really stepping up? Freshman Chase Clavon, 9.3 points per game from her. Against Mother Seton yesterday, she had 14 points and has been playing very well lately. Her counterpart, Rory Joselle, who's a senior, and really mentors Chase in a way, as like the floor general. Both of those guards bringing up the ball from time to time. Rory Joselle sitting at 15.4 points per game. And against Carteret, we saw really how well Rory and Chase connect on the court. Rory had a career high 28 points versus Carteret that game, and Chase was, and in the fourth quarter specifically, against Carteret, Metuchen scored 26 points in the fourth quarter.
Very impressive, 26 points.
Yeah, this team is, listen, all in all, this team isn't that high scoring of a team, but when they get hot, they get hot. And Rory and Chase are leading that charge, and I had a majority of those 26 points in that fourth quarter because they were lighting it up from deep throughout the entire fourth quarter. So what needs to be done is that they just need to catch fire early on. They need to run their offense. I know Chase was telling me after that game, she said, like, the girls need to run their offense in the first half. This offense works. They just need to trust it and run it efficiently, which they can. They've shown signs of it before. And if they can do that time and time again, I don't see why this team can definitely add some more wins in their win column.
All right, well, let's move from the girls to the boys. There have been some bright spots for the boys this season, but there is definitely room for improvement. And I mean, most notably, the boys have struggled closing out tight games. Has it been more of an offensive or a defensive issue? And how can they adjust to prevent the close ones from slipping away?
Quite honestly, it's been a bit of both lately. Against Bishop Bar, they simply could not make shots in the fourth quarter. And Alex Santiago, and the many Bishop Bar sharpshooters were just torching the Metuchen Bulldogs from deep. We know Bishop Bar to be a very good shooting team. It's one of the strengths that they pride themselves on. And Metuchen knew that coming into the game. Even the matchups last year, Santiago hit, I think, about 8 threes against the Bulldogs. And in both matchups, both teams were doing very well shooting. It's just that Bishop Bar had the upper hand last year. And this year, it was a bit of the same. It's just that Bishop Bar had the hot hand and just kept it. They need to defend the perimeter with them. Yesterday they pulled out a close one versus South Plainfield in a 51-50 win. The margin, on paper, the margin could have been a bit bigger given how South Plainfield is, but hey, a win is a win, and I'm sure that was a confidence booster for the boys basketball team.
Very true, but let's move on to our final topic. The MHS swim team looked great at Saturday's Pirates meet. What were some of the highlights of the meet, and what must this team do to continue performing at a high level?
Well, Bridget Thomas, who is a freshman and is a very strong swimmer, to be quite honest with you. She swam 5 minutes, 23 seconds in the 500-yard freestyle to get first place. She also placed first in the 200 freestyle. Also in the back to the 500 freestyle, Kira Stolarski took third with a time of 5 minutes 34 seconds, and in the 100 fly, Julian Park won that race. So I think this team is very strong, and if to answer your question earlier, what they need to do to continue performing at a high level, I'm gonna quote the elegant Dory from played by Ellen DeGeneres from Finding Nemo, and just say, just keep swimming.
All right, so that's going to wrap up. That's all the time we got. Dylan, thanks for joining us once again with the Sports Update.
Thank you, Eddie. Always a pleasure being here, and I cannot wait to see what we got coming up soon.
All right, that's going to wrap up this week's show. For Dylan Manfre, Coach Holleran, Josh Hyman, and everyone helping out with the Metuchen High School podcast, I'm Eddie Kalegi. We'll see you next time on the MHS Pawdcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High.